morning. Hello, Eleanor. Good morning. I'd like to say I feel a little bit better than yesterday, but that'd be a big fat lie. I wish I did. But luckily, I can laugh about it. It's good we're talking about resilience today because I kind of need to reconnect to my resilience. I don't really. I know it's there, but today I've had just a few nights of not really sleeping very well and waking up a lot, and I'm tired. Can you not see me, Jen? Can you see me, Eleanor? Is it just Jen who can't see me? Somebody let me know if you can see me or not. I have just switched. Oh, Paula, you can see me. That's good. Can you see me now, Jen? Don't know. Oh, good. Tia, good. Eleanor, thank you so much. You can all see me. Morning, Tia. That's good. I think it might be your end, Jen. I'm not sure if there's something. Can anybody help Jen out with what she needs to press? I know when you go to a live, you need to actually enter, don't you, before it actually boots up, and you might be able to hear before you can see. I'm not 100% sure. I've only attended a few lives myself recently. Just have a nosy and see what other people are doing, and to learn a bit as well, because you can never stop learning, can you really? But I think I do it all in a very different way since my explorations of the last few years. So it's a really different experience is learning now. It's a nicer experience because it's not so much about trying to fix me. It's done in a lighter way, I think, today, these days. So welcome, good morning. Good morning it is for me, and I can see blue sky mostly out the window. So that's something to celebrate. If you're in the UK, which I imagine some of you are, if you're in Australia, you'll be having a winter that's very much like our summer. So lucky you if you're at that side. If you're at that side of the world, because we've had a really strange August. Well, a really strange July and August. August just needs to remember it's August, I think, and then we'll be fine. But it does look a lot better today. My fiance's been outside. He said it was quite cold, but at least the sun's out. So fingers crossed for a nicer day today. So welcome. Let me know if you're new here. I can see lots of familiar faces already, which is nice. But I'd love to know if you are a complete newbie to me and my sharings of the three principles, then please do let me know. If you're new, so that's what I do here. I teach a really simple understanding of how the mind works. Oh, Jen, you're new. I hope you can see me now, Jen. I teach a really simple understanding about how the mind works, known as the three principles, which took me from a place of stuckness, really, I would say, to where I am now, which is a place of a lot more calm and a lot more joy and ease in my life, and just a lot more happiness and contentment, I would say, more than not Jazan's happiness, just contentment, peace, calm, and flow in my life. And that was like, I was okay before, but I was seeking. Maybe you're seeking. Hi Laurie, you're new as well. I love your dove picture. That's lovely. I love a dove. I like doves and butterflies, actually. Both nice symbols of things that I like. So I was on a self-development journey. So let me know if you're on one of those. If maybe you're quite new to self-development, or maybe you've been looking for a long time and tried lots of things in the hope that you're going to feel better. And you keep going and keep going, and you keep trying the next thing and the next thing. And like earlier on, I said, when I talked about learning and learning being great, not if it's this sense of it's you that needs fixing. So I'm pointing away from that idea. So Tia, you have been here before, but you can't remember. You've de-escalated, I guess, your relationship with a partner, but love him very much. Have other things in your life which you want to give more time to. Your mind fixates, and you're trying to focus on healing and giving to a cause you care about, giving your energy, I guess. to a cause you care about. And that makes sense. Like, that sounds like your intuition guiding you there. Because we well, you know, do we have a limited amount of energy or don't we? I'm kind of pondering that at the moment on a quite deep level, because I've had a few conversations recently where people have said, with clients and things, where people have said, I've run out of energy, or I've got, like, I get physically you can get tired, I'm feeling that a bit today because my sleep's a bit wobbly at the moment. So I get you can be tired, but maybe there's more to be seen around energy and our perception of our own energy. Definitely, I think. And healing, Tia. I hope you're going to hear something a bit different about this idea of healing, as if psychology can be healed or needs healing. Like, there's going to be something different here for you especially if you're on a path of healing the past, or healing trauma, or healing stuff from the past, or thinking that you are somehow in need of healing, because that was my path. My path was, there's something wrong with Claire. Something has happened in the past that's damaged Claire. So what do I need to do to fix it? So I was on that path for a really long time until I came across the 3 principles. Excuse me, I just need to get a drink. My throat's very tickly at the moment. So if you listen to some of my other sessions, Tia, I hope you'll find those helpful too. And I have a few courses you can do, especially if you're on the subscription, on the premium, you can access all my courses on that. So so a little bit more about the 3 principles and me. I came across the 3 principles in January 2020. I very quickly, everything changed. My relationships, my experience of my circumstances, my experience of myself changed so dramatically. I really don't think there's anything wrong with me now. I'm still seeing it more on a physical level. There's still more to see, I think, and more about me trusting my body can sort itself out, rather than me needing to continually interfere with endless supplements and dietary changes and everything else. But on an emotional level, there's nothing to do anymore. And I can honestly say that I've stopped doing all of it. I've stopped inner child work, I've stopped meditating, I've stopped all sorts of different things. And I'm just getting on with my life now. And I think really, for most of us, like, there's a difference if we just enjoy these things, but for most of us, we just want to get on with our life, don't we? And it not to be hard. Just to have more ease, more flow, more contentment. But do we really want to be doing all this stuff to get that? I know I'm glad I'm not anymore. No more journaling. Like, I'm writing assignments at the moment, actually. That's very much my focus at the moment, as I'm studying a coaching course. It's interesting, a much more structured idea of coaching and mentoring. So I'm enjoying that new bit of learning. But it's not about fixing me. It's for funsies. 5,000 word assignments for fun, apparently. So 3 principles changed my life. I then decided I didn't want to do hypnotherapy and everything else I was doing, like NLP and everything else, to help people. I stopped doing it all, and I've been supporting people through the 3 principles ever since. Good morning, Karen. Lovely to see you. And you must know Laurie. That's nice. I like it when people know each other on here. I'd love to know if anybody knows each other in person. I was on a live the other day with a friend of mine, Suzanne. Which has just reminded me we're supposed to be arranging a time to go for a walk, and I haven't messaged her back. So, my friend Suzanne and I were on a live with a lady who is from Australia. So that was just funny, because we live right down the road from each other. We were on a live with a lady from Australia. So, you're just saying hi because she's new. Karen, that's so lovely. How lovely. What a lovely bunch of people you are, aren't you? that's what I like about this space. It's just full of lovely people who are nice to each other. If we could just take the microcosm of Insight Timer and spread it across the world, hey, that'd be good, wouldn't it? So the three principles, I do have a track called What Are the Three Principles and Why Do They Bring More Ease to Life? So people who are new, like Laurie and Jen, I really do recommend you going and listening to that track in particular, but also my first course, Calm, Balance and Clarity with Ease, is a good one to have a look at, just to get you started and give you some idea about what I'm talking about. But hopefully, anyway, today we won't talk excessively about the three principles. I will give a nod to them now. So the three principles are thought, consciousness, and universal mind, and they are the three jigsaw pieces of human experience. So they are why we feel the way we feel, what our thinking's all about, why do we behave the way we behave. How is that experience created? Why do we see the world one way and somebody else sees it differently? So it really is all of the explanation of that. And so mostly in this course, in these lives and on my courses, I talk about the implications of that rather than specifically the three principles. But do look at the three principles. They are life-changing. I know a few people who, I think Eleanor was saying yesterday, she's got hold of Sydney Banks' book, The Enlightened Gardener. That's one of the ones I recommend, because it's just such a lovely story. Excuse me. Sydney Banks wrote all but one of his books as a story. So they're really nice to read and really easy to read, and they just sort of gradually nudge you in a different way of seeing the world. So towards a different way of seeing the world. So today, before we carry on, do go and follow me if you don't follow me already. Check out my courses. I'm doing 5 lives this week. I did one yesterday, one today, and I'm doing those the other Friday as well. So please do check those out. Come and join us again. If you're in the UK, they're all UK time things. I know you have to go to work and do other things as well, but they're all. I'm in the UK, so the times are appropriate for the UK. And if you're in other parts of the world, you can catch me at various times during the week, and I'll tell you all about the other times at the end of the session. But if you follow me, then you can obviously get informed about everything that I schedule, everything that I share. So what I'm doing at the moment is with these live sessions, I'm doing a little mini session, like a little podcast exploring the same kind of things. So you can listen to a brief version. I've just recorded the one for this just before this. So the three principles: thought, conscious, and consciousness. Put my teeth in. Thought, consciousness, and universal mind. So let's just give that reminder that these sessions are brought to you by donation. So if you are able to make a donation today, it's very much appreciated. The Enlightened Gardener, really great story. And there is a follow-up book which is called The Enlightened Gardener Revisited, and it's all the same characters, which is nice because you kind of get to know the characters. I like these where you get to know the characters. So we're going to talk about resilience today. So this month we're exploring relationships. So I have a course called Creating Harmonious Connections and Enhancing Relationships with the Three Principles that kind of takes some of this different things I've said in that, but the Sydney Banks, Sydney, Sydney Banks. So where was I? Yeah, so this month, exploring relationships. So the course is about relationships and all these sessions about relationships. So what I found interesting about this is that the same issues seem to come out in this as doing other aspects of life. So last month I was exploring relationships, and we talked about resilience there as well. Isn't that interesting that resilience is like a universal thing? And that's great, because that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about, really, is that resilience has got an interesting perception. And I'm sure you've heard people say things like, you need to build your resilience, or you can go, if you're in a business, you work in a business, a bigger business perhaps, you may have been sent to a workshop called Better Resilience, or How to Build Your Resilience, or things like that. And in fact, if you search resilience, or how to grow my resilience, or something like that on the internet, I guarantee you will get probably 500 million results, over 500 million hits. I think the last time I looked it was 600 million. Bearing in mind there are only 8 million people on the planet, that seems a little bit excessive, doesn't it? Can you imagine if you didn't think you were resilient, and you go looking for the answer to that? You could be there for the rest of your life. Does anybody fancy that game? It doesn't seem like a good game to me. But of course, that the whole premise of that is coming from a place of lack, from a place of it seeming like we don't have it, resilience, that it's not part of us. We've got to go get it from the outside. Has anybody else noticed that about resilience? There's other words that have a similar sense to them. Things like confidence, love, even. This sense that we need to go get these things from the outside world. Calm, definitely. Goodness gracious, definitely looks like you've got to get that from the outside world, doesn't it? By doing things. But what if that was all wrong? I propose that it is all wrong. Because I want to point you in a different direction today. To see that resilience is a force, like an energy. We've spoken a bit about energy today already. It's an energy, a force that is within you all the time, and that it cannot be taken away, that it is something you're born with, and that it's working all day, every day, despite you not believing it is. And today as well, we'll explore a little bit about how we get in the way of being able to see that. So let's look at some examples of where resilience is there all the time, or where we could see it, when we can see it, when we could see it. Oh. If I'd slept better, I'd be more articulate, I think. How we've seen it in other human beings. So I often at this point, and I do this a lot, I point to little children who fall down. You did this. If you're a walking human being, or if you're doing anything now that you weren't doing when you were a baby, really, all those things you've learned to do, you had to fail multiple times. You fell down, you got up. You fell down, you got up. You fell down, got up. You wanted something from an adult, and you tried and tried again to communicate that thing, probably in a quite frustrated way sometimes. Anybody else been shouted at by a 1-year-old that wants to tell you something and they can't tell you what they need, and that frustration, because basically they think it's you that's stupid. You just they think it's you that's stuffed, and so they persist, don't they? And we've all been through that journey of failing, getting up again, and failing and getting up again, and failing and getting on again. All of us, all the way through our lives. DM, I have calm resilience and confidence within myself. Absolutely you do. All the time. Actually, I need to tap into it to demonstrate that, and others are capable of doing it. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think even for me, DM, that there's a just watch out for verbs. Do we need to tap into it? Do we need to do anything at all? The we of the human person, the self, the ego, if you like. Do we need to do that? We like to think it's all about us doing it, don't we? I'll tap into my resilience today. No, your resilience doesn't really care what you think about it. It's doing its thing all the time. It's doing it all the time. So Tia, I suppose it's more of how fast your brain accesses its area. If we add things, we aren't just using it, which we can, and we don't need to add things. Sorry. Bless you. Yeah, we don't need to add things. Absolutely, Tia. Perfect. Yeah, that was it. That's exactly where I'm pointing to. Because that's what we're doing is here's this innate well-being, this resilience. We're looking at resilience on its own today, but it's all of it. There's innate well-being. There's your diamond inside. There's everything that you need, and then there's all your thinking, and your thinking says it's not there, and your thinking says you need to do something about it, and your thinking says you need to tap into it, and your thinking says you need to learn more about it, and you're noise, and then so then maybe if we're in our psychology, we're in the noise, we're in the distraction, we're in the interference. We don't notice that our system is just self-writing all the time, or trying to. That's just happening. We don't need to do that. But then, of course, we look outside of us, and just like Tia said, that's more noise in the system, more interference. And really, as a human potential catalyst, the formula that I love and share a lot is that performance is potential minus interference. So where is the interference is in the adding, like Tia said. It is in the sense that we need to do anything at all. And I notice I've had some profound insights around just seeing this happen in the moment. It's performance is potential minus interference. Interference is thought, really. So I had, when we're focusing on relationships today and how important seeing this connection to our ability to reset, to bounce back, to come back to calm is always there. Our system is always bouncing back. It's not ever not doing that. It's just we can't see it if we're in some noise up here. So a few months ago, might even be last year actually, my son wasn't happy with something I posted on social media. Not happy is an actual understatement. So he wasn't here in the house, doesn't live with me anymore, lives with his girlfriend. So he sent me, it was on Instagram, and he sent me some quite rude messages, shall we say, on Instagram, telling me that I was out of order what I'd done and I shouldn't do that, and why did I do that, blah, blah, blah. And he then having sent quite a long message on Instagram, being quite, just coming from that place of he thought I should know something I didn't know. Who doesn't do that sometimes? We all do, don't we? So, and then he started trying to phone me. And I by this point, I was quite riled up. I was quite upset. And I knew I wasn't in a good state, a fit state, a fit state to speak to him. So I just sent him a very short message just saying, I can't really speak to you at the moment. I'm not in a very good state of mind. And I didn't say, and neither are you, but I did kind of know that too. Neither of us were in a good state of mind. I could tell by the way he was speaking to me in the message, by the way he was repeatedly phoning, why he was getting very angry because I wasn't picking up the phone, even though I run a business, so there's many a time when I wouldn't be able to pick up the phone. Anyway, so I kind of knew that I wasn't in a fit state of mind, but I also knew that that state of mind wasn't going to be a helpful one to do anything really constructive in my business in that moment. And I remember just finding a kind of mindless task to do. So I kind of occupied my intellect. I got it busy. I was doing. I used Trello for organising a lot of my business, and that's what I did. I just went onto Trello and I just started moving tiles about. It's a job I needed to do, but it was just a really easy job. So, excuse me, my mind was occupied enough for my innate system, my innate well-being, to just sort everything out. And I just noticed that a little while later, I was okay. I'd calmed down. And a similar thing happened at the weekend. Bruce, my fiance, said something I didn't like. I was a bit grumpy about it, and but we were doing some jobs around the house. We'd been doing some major decluttering. We went to the tip and we dropped off crutches back at the NHS and all sorts of things at the weekend. So we were doing that. So we were gathering things together. So I just kind of moved away from him and went off to do a job somewhere else in the middle of our task. And again, I just noticed after a while that I was calm enough, and I did at that point actually want to say something to my fiance about what he'd said, but it was delivered in a very different way to when I was really caught up and really upset. And it's in that space, in the calm space, that we can then communicate so much better. And when we're looking here at building great relationships, at building relationships that are harmonious and loving and where our connections are strong, we're always going to do that better from a place of calm. And so this piece around resetting to calm without us needing to do anything is really, really important. In both those situations, with my son, I messaged him later on when I was feeling calm. I just noticed I felt calm enough. Messaged him and said, do you want to talk about what happened? And he didn't reply, because by that time he'd calmed down and he wasn't bothered about it either. So it sorted itself out without anybody needing to have a conversation. Isn't that amazing? Because doesn't it so often look like we have to butt heads with somebody when we're both in a bad mood in order to sort it out? God, I so used to think that. That's just made me laugh, because that is what I used to think. Oh my goodness. Dearie me. I really used to think that when I was riled up, I needed to, go full on into it and have a big argument in order to sort it out. I still do sometimes, I'll be honest with you, but not as much. I can only apologise for the yawning. I had a really quite rubbish night's sleep last night. So, and the same thing happened with Bruce. By the time I'd pottered around and moved a few things and my mind had settled, and then that was it, I could say to him, hey, do you know what? I wasn't so keen on what you did there. So, Karen, there are times you go into the back garden, go, or shout some obscenities at the universe, and then come back in and carry on. I like that, Karen. It's good to have enough awareness to know that we are not in a fit state to communicate. And really, to me, having a great relationship has been very much complicated, and really it's navigating us from our feelings, not navigating the world out there, because actually, when we have this awareness of our state of mind, in that a poor state of mind creates a poor sensation in the body, an uncomfortable, unpleasant sensation, and a good state of mind, one where we are calm and ready to communicate with somebody else, creates a good feeling in the body, a good sensation, a calm feeling, a loving feeling. And really, to navigate all our relationships, that's what we need, is this self-awareness. And knowing when we are in a good state of mind, a state which we can, from which we can connect to another person more easily. And it's seeing that there's so little to do for us to be there. In fact, I can honestly say the less I do, the more I'm there. And there's nothing to build, there's nothing to create, there's nothing to do, there's just nothing to do. There's some things to see. And when we see them in the moment, it transforms those interactions from what I used to do, which was butt heads with people all the time. So another place where I saw this was, those of you that are regular will know, I sometimes share that my fiance has an ex and they have a child. So she's unavoidably part of our lives. And she gets upset with us all the time about things that we've no idea why she's upset about them. So we'll have a lovely weekend with the little boy, and then he'll go back on a Sunday, and then we used to get these very long, not so much now, interestingly. We used to get these awful messages back about what we'd done wrong and how we were. Literally, we would just have been living our lives, really, with a little child in tow. And she would not be happy with what we'd done. And then she would send quite ranty messages, and then I would rant back. So there would be this butting heads. Well, I need to let her know she's out of order. That's what I would think. And I'd do all of that from a really horrible feeling. And I remember the first time I saw this, really in the moment with her was one Sunday night, as usual, ranty message comes through. Oh, I mean, if a WhatsApp message needs scrolling up more than once, it's too long, in my opinion. And I remember reading this message and just feeling the kind of, ugh, God, here we go again. Why can't she stop doing this? I've had enough of this, that kind of feeling. And then hearing a little voice in my head, and this is back to intuition, isn't it? This little voice in my head said, "You're not in a fit state to answer that message. Put your phone down." And I did. I put my phone down. And then we ate an evening meal, we watched a bit of telly, we're chilling out. And I read the message again later. And I just thought, there's no reply to this. There's no reply to this at all. I'm just going to leave it. Because that's just somebody's upset thinking. I don't have to reply to that. I don't have to add more upset into this soup of upset that's already there. There's nothing to say. And so there was no reply. And more of the time, there ends up being no reply now. Because what do you say to somebody who's, he's going to high school in September, this little boy. What do you say to somebody who's already talking about bullying before he's even got there? I mean, what do you say to that person? There's nothing to say, is there? It's an illusion. There's no point me arguing back against that. So more and more of the time now, we just leave it. We don't. Now, sometimes it does make sense to say something, but it's calmer and it's different. There's nothing to do for that to reset. Sometimes a bit of time, maybe, like reading the message, putting my phone down, going and eating, watching a bit of telly, and then going back to the phone later and just thinking, there's nothing there really. It's amazing, isn't it, how that resilience works, that it just keeps taking you back to calm. Yes, thank you, DM, for jotting that down for everybody. Just to be, it's all self-awareness, like you to be in a place of calm with self-awareness, and then to be able to communicate with clarity if necessary. Yeah, but you'll notice as you look towards this, you will find it less and less necessary to say anything. There's a piece here around seeing everybody's psychological innocence and that, the separate realities, everybody's doing the best they can with thinking that looks true to them as well. When we see that helps, I think, as well, because we're much like to go, oh, that's what made sense to them in the moment. And it still might make sense to say something, but the something will be very different. So, Karen, it isn't always easy. Sometimes deep down inside boils like Mount Vesuvius. Bless you, I know how that feels. The voice inside is sometimes overtuned by years and years of not replying. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, and maybe that's because it's not one thing or the other. It's not never reply or do reply all the time. It's always about navigating from the feeling, Karen. That's such a helpful thing for you to say, because it's always about us. If we think it's about anybody else, it's not. And so sometimes in the moment when we see, like you see, that sometimes you need to go in the back garden and shout at the daffodils, then that's fine. But I think as we go deeper towards this, we don't even need to shout at the daffodils, because we realise that that's just thought in the moment, and it's manifesting in our body in a pretty ugly way. It feels horrible. And that it isn't about holding ourselves down. It's not about that, because that's still doing. Watch out for the verbs. I've started saying that a lot now. Watch out for the verbs. If you think it's a doing for your psychological well-being, for your emotional well-being, then I suggest that there's more to be seen. There is nothing to do. Things do themselves once we see that. And that might mean that in one moment you're feeling really upset with somebody and, would perhaps like to deliver a piece of your mind to them, like the volcano erupting inside. And then when that settles, you still would like to say something to that person. And I guess, like, when that, what then happens is almost the reverse, is that we feel in our intuition when we're calm, we kind of think, do you know what? This is what I need to say. It makes sense to say something here. And then the thinking comes in and says, oh no, don't say anything, it'll start another argument, don't do that, But I would say when we're calm, it's much less likely to start another argument. Because it's like the oneness that we talk about, we're pointing towards non-duality here. They're talking about the oneness. Here's the oneness. And then the thought is the separation. Thought is what's from day one, from the first time a baby touched a blanket and realised that blanket wasn't them. And, found their feet and realised the feet were them. And then started to say mine and my, like children do. My do it was one of my daughter's first phrases. I do it. And she became very independent, included choosing her clothes, which made it interesting going out with her. And she was all mismatched and in completely inappropriate clothes for the weather. I did have to provide counsel on my 18-month-old daughter's choice of clothes. So we still can say something. We still can, but not so much. It's not generally helpful from that place of frustration, because that's when we're really in separation. There's a me and a you, and our thought is what makes that look real. And the calmer we are, the less we're in thinking, the calmer we are, and the more connected we are to another person, because that's naturally true. Yeah, that's right, DM. Thank you. All that needs to be done is to gain the insight, to have perspective, and acknowledge. Does it make sense? Everyone coming from a place of innocence, yeah, everyone is coming from a place of innocence. And we see that more when we're calm as well. We really do. I don't see it all the time. Definitely not. So another example of this, like, it's good to share little stories, is that, you know, the same woman I've spoken about, my fiance's ex. We have to travel in November, and the weekend we need to travel on is unfortunately the weekend when Bruce is supposed to have his son. So we had she just asked for something really strange in terms of swapping or taking some. So Bruce has his child once a fortnight for 2 days. That's it. Picks him up Friday, after school, takes him out Sunday at a similar time. So literally 48 hours every 14 days. And on the bank holiday weekend, the one where the coronation, when the coronation was, Ethan's birthday was on the Monday. We had him Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, Friday after school, Saturday and Sunday. And she had him on his birthday on a bank holiday. So she had him all day on a bank holiday. And then she wanted him back lunchtime on Sunday. We couldn't even work out why. Something about birthday weekends that we don't even hold with. And so we said no, because Bruce has so little time with his child, and she had him all day on his birthday. So we just couldn't see the sense of why she should have him for another half day when Bruce just has the weekend. That weekend once a fortnight, that's all he has, because he lives so far away. Can't see him in between. No. So we've refused this irrational taking of Bruce's time with his child. Whereas, you know, when she had him all day on his birthday on a bank holiday, and Bruce wasn't going to see him at all on his birthday. Anyway, so our celebration day for the birthday was the Sunday. So we planned things to do, so we couldn't make the swap. Anyway, so then just after that, poor timing on our part, we asked if she could swap these weekends in November, because we weren't going to be there. So very different. And she said no. So we still going to travel, and Bruce is just not going to see his son. And at the time she's like, what? She's just doing this because we've said no to this, her taking half of your Sunday. That's why she's done it. She's just angry. And I just left it, because there was nothing really to say to somebody like that who's already angry and upset about something else. A few weeks later, we were just driving along in the motorhome, and I just thought, she doesn't realise what that means, because she is very busy. She's got her own business. She often is asking for extra childcare, because that's how she sees Bruce. He's the childcare. Because she wants to work at weekends. And I thought, she's not realised that she's got to have Ethan now 3 weekends in a row without a break. She's not realised. She won't, because she doesn't really work like that. She doesn't realise the consequence of things. So I just wrote it down. I wrote down we just want to confirm that this is what you're accepting is going to happen in November. Bearing in mind this was it was May when we were having this conversation. She said she'd already planned something for that weekend, which we knew was a lie. So we said, we said, if you don't do this swap, you're going to have Ethan these 3 weekends on a trot. Ethan won't see his dad for a whole month. And we just want to confirm that you're accepting that that's what's going to happen. And that was it. It was just very practical. These are the facts. Just making sure you're aware of the facts. And she wrote back almost immediately and said, oh, no, I want to swap the weekends. So it's just what was funny about that, and where I'm pointing to here in terms of when we're calm and when we bounce back when we've come back from the place of being really stirred up, there's just some clarity, and the right thing to say comes through. And there's nothing for us to do. It just comes. Like, it was almost by putting it to one side and saying, oh, I can't even think how to respond to this. It was almost like intuition led, but it was a bit like dismissive at the time. It's like, oh God, I can't be bothered to deal with this. But then just when I wasn't thinking about it at all, this thing to say came through, and and it connected to her because it was just the truth. It wasn't my opinion. There was no feeling in it. There was no anger in it. There was just letting her know what practically was going to happen because of her decision to not swap. Well, Karen, it's all about her needs, isn't it? It does fundamentally seem to be that way, but I have to bear in mind that I'm glad it's your perception too, Karen. It makes me think maybe I'm not going mad. But that is the perception that we have too. That it's not about the child. It's about her and what's convenient to her. Yeah, but also that, but perhaps intellectually, some of it's not landing with her. I'll just say it that way. But in the calm space, in the clarity, there's often something that lands with another person. So let's just recap for a minute, and just to say hello to the other people who've arrived, who I haven't said hello to. Let me know if you're new here, if you've been before, if you know about me and the 3 principles. If not, let me know. If you haven't come across the 3 principles, I do have one track which you can find if you go and follow me and go to my profile. What are the 3 principles, and why do they bring more ease to life is a nice starting point. And Calm, Balance and Clarity with Ease is the course, the first course I made, which should be helpful. I am next month, I think, going to make a basic course that just takes you through the initial kind of principle, the initial bits of the 3 principles, like a sort of step-by-step thing, which I hope people will find helpful. Because then that will give me something to send new people to who haven't come across the 3 principles. Who has come across the 3 principles apart from through me? Would be good to hear in the comments if anybody wants to share. So in summary, what I'm saying here is that resilience is natural to you, and that without any doing from you, your system has a natural ability to reset and move through emotional states, just like the clouds are flowing across the sky today. There haven't been much, have they, UK people? They've been kind of sitting there pouring rain a lot. So that there's seeing that there's this flow to the system, that we don't need to do anything. We don't think we have to go up there and move the clouds, much as it would be nice to do that sometimes, because I don't know about you, but it's been a bit wet, hasn't it? But that flow of the flow of the weather, the flow of the seasons, the flow of nature is the same flow that's powering us, and that we do bounce back naturally. And I think one of the things that I think can get in the way there is guilt. That we feel terrible. We say something we probably wish we hadn't said. And from that place, we then go into guilt, and that's more thinking and more disconnect from the other person, and we're less likely to say sorry, because that's the other place where this is really helpful. Is that one, if you have, because we all have, anybody here going to deny it? You're fibbing. We've all snapped. We've all spoken to somebody we love out of, from a place of upset and anger. We've all done that. And what we then tend to do, like I just said, is we then go into guilt, don't we? And we feel terrible, and we beat ourselves up, and that's all inside us, like not in a good way. It's more thinking. It's not allowing the system, the resilience, to naturally take us back to calm. And then we're in that place of guilt, and we're not in the space, in the room, in the presence with the other person, and we're not tending to say sorry or make amends in whatever way we might want to make amends. So that's another place where it's anything like, I think it was Tia earlier who just said, it's the noise. It's, we're just adding more and more noise, and less connection to our system that has this believable actually, this phenomenal ability to take us back to a place of calm all the time. Yeah, thank you, dear. I do like you being here. Can you come to every session and do little snippets for people? It's really good. It means people can have a little check of what I've said. I can check what I've said as well. So for me, it's seeing that what our natural state is. That our natural state is calm, that our natural state is resilience, that our natural state is peace. It's like this is so if we go back to the weather metaphor, and we see that that the weather is moving all the time, and nature, we're not doing that, thank God. We're not doing that. That's just happening. That's nature, your nature too. Your ability to reset, your resilience is natural. It's part of what makes you you. It's part of the essence of us as human beings. We are connected. I think because we live in these brick boxes and go to work in a concrete box, we don't think we're connected to that, but we are. Now let's imagine if in the UK we finally had enough of the weather, we just couldn't stand it, and then, I mean, I don't doubt that somebody's trying to do this, frighteningly, because we do like to interfere, don't we? But imagine that somebody invented a big probe that went up into the sky and could make the weather change, interfere basically with nature's movement of the weather. Can you imagine the environmental disaster we would create? It's already a mess, isn't it? So, we don't need to. We've already messed it up by interfering, by pumping more noise into the system, by pumping more chemicals into the system. We've messed it up. We'd make it even more messy. So it's like that. We're in this outside-in misunderstanding. So we feel upset and we think then we've got to do something about that, but that's outside in as well. And so we get more and more caught up and more away from calm. Just like if we stuck a probe in the sky and tried to manipulate the weather, we would create an environmental disaster. We're creating our own inner environmental disaster by thinking that it's our job to get us back to calm. And I just do think that if everybody could see this is when I get emotional because I'm tired as well. If everybody could see this, that would change everybody's experience of life. There would be no mental illness. I honestly believe that. I honestly believe that it is not the feelings, it's not the sensations, it's our attempts to change them that is creating. It's our seeing that they're wrong, our seeing that we're not supposed to feel like that, think like that, behave like that, and our attempts to change that is creating so much suffering. And that is partly being perpetuated by all this understanding, in inverted commas, of mental illness. We're pointing people to mental illness all the time. We keep on telling people that they're mentally ill. And so guess what? That's all people can see. It doesn't have to be that way. So, you're okay, I'm okay, we're all okay. If everybody could see that we're okay, we'd all be okay. I never said it quite like that, but it's true. So, let me tell you what's happening over the next few days. I can hear Bruce, he's come to make the tea. Bless him, he's a gem. Where's my teacher profile? So, tomorrow at 2:05 p.m. UK time, BST, if you're in BST zone. If not, if you're in the US right now and you've woken up in the night, then I hope you get back to sleep. But so embracing vulnerability as the gateway to intimacy. Oh, Karen, don't have to apologise, Karen. It's lovely to have you here, and I hope you come back again. Thank you so much. The 10th of August, which is Thursday, 11:05, connecting with intuition to guide your relationships. That will follow on nicely from this one, I think. And on the 11th of August at 1:11, check out all the ones. Nurturing compassion and understanding. So please do follow me if you don't follow me already. Please do check out my courses. That's if you know, as I keep saying, these sessions are brought to you by donation, and those donations support me to deliver this and Insight Timer too, which is an amazing space with so much free content. We really are fortunate to have access to it. But the other way that you can support me is to do one of my courses. If you're enjoying the lives, if you're seeing something in it, then please, go along and do one of my courses. And if you want to chat about anything you learn there, then please do reach out and chat. I love the courses for that. I keep going back onto the course platforms, and people who are doing the courses are messaging me about the course and about what they're seeing and sharing their insights, and I get to voice note them back, and so we can engage in a little conversation. So please do go and check out those courses. They're a great way to get a deeper grounding in the 3 principles, and they are included in your membership if you're a monthly subscriber or an annual one. Is it $9.99 or $59.99 for the year, I think. $9.99 a month or $59.99 for the year. So and that's another way to support me in terms of how I get supported by Insight Timer is through you obviously accessing those courses and joining conversations with me on the courses. So really grateful for any support you're able to give, and it does make a difference. And I hope to see some of you on the sessions. Thank you so much, Eleanor. Thank you, DM, for providing all those little snippets of what I've said. Those are nice to see. And I hope to see some of you soon. And of course, follow me. Check out the link in my bio if you've not already done that. There's a place to chat with me there. You can chat with me on here. I always appreciate people reaching out. And of course, if you want to talk, that's available too. So lots of love for everyone. You have a wonderful Tuesday. I hope the sun's shining where you are, and I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.